Woman King, Dahomey, present-day Benin. The Woman King is a movie that was released on 16 September 2022. It reminds the Republic of Benin the history of Dahomey and the legendary all-women African army called the Amazons of Dahomey, or the Agujes. The movie has some amazing characters. General Nanisca, the leader of the sisterhood or the Aguje or the Amazons of Dahomey. Nawi, who became the leader of the next generation of the Aguje, and later found out she was the daughter of General Nanisca. Izogi and Kengezo. According to the movie, the Amazons of Dahomey was an all-women African army that lived in the 18th in Dahomey, present-day Benin, a French conquest and a major power on the Atlantic coast. The kingdom of Dahomey practiced slavery and acquired most of their riches from domestic and Atlantic slaves. They sold slaves to the European slave traders in exchange for various goods. Alcohol, textiles, cowrie shells are some of the goods they traded for. As depicted in the movie, the Aguje, or the Amazons of Dahomey, led by General Nanisca, were a real fighting unit who were instrumental in protecting the kingdom of Dahomey. According to the movie, King Gezo and his empire were forced to pay tribute to the neighboring Oyo Empire. Dahomey had been a tributary state to the Oyo Empire for almost a century. The Oyo Empire was a historically significant empire controlled by the Yoruba ethnic group. The Oyo Empire was known for its strong administrative structure and powerful cavalry in the 17th and 18th century. In 1823, as shown in the movie, the Dahomey Empire engaged in a fight for the Oyo Empire and eventually won their independence. In the movie, General Nanisca and King Gezo are passionately opposed to the slave trade and vows to end the practice. But in reality, King Gezo was one of the most vicious slavers in all West Africa. He ordered frequently military raids on villages to kidnap innocent people he could trade to the Portuguese as slaves. Slavery was the primary source of Dahomey's wealth and power. Not only did King Gezo attempt to end the slave trade, he actually explicitly fought to keep it. In the 1850s, he faced severe pressure from the British Empire to end his participation in the slave trade, and he even fought several unsuccessful battles to keep it. Eventually, he gave up and agreed to end his slave raids, but continued them secretly until his death a few years later. Reality and history. The Dahomey Kingdom was a powerful regional state that controlled large areas and several tribes in the pre-colonial West Africa. Around the 18th and the 19th centuries, like the Oyo Empire, the Songhai Empire, the Mali Empire, and so on. At the height of her powers, Dahomey, present-day Benin, had a large army including a powerful Dahomey Amazons, an all-female military unit that terrorized their enemy. The Dahomey warriors, the Dahomey Amazons or the Agujes, were traditionally called the Nanometon, which means our mothers in Fon, the language of the Fon people of Dahomey, now in present-day Benin. The Europeans, historians, and observers called them the Dahomey Amazons, as they reminded them of the mystical and powerful all-women army called Amazons in Greek mythology. Not much is known about how the Dahomey warriors came to be. However, legend states that they were descendants of Queen Tashi Hambe, who ruled the Dahomey kingdom in the early 18th century after the sudden death of her twin brother. According to historians, first Amazon was Hambe. Her father was Abaji, founder of the Dahomey kingdom, and her twin brother was King Akaba. In 1708, after the death of her brother Akaba following a long illness, Hambe was silently installed as the head of the military. After coming back from her military campaigns, she was publicly proclaimed Queen of the Dahomeys. She reigned for only 3 years as she was forcibly removed from the throne by her other brother Agaja. Hambe was all for women during her short but powerful reign. She urged women to engage in farming and go hunting, two activities that were at the time solely for men. Being a fearless warrior who led men and women in battle, she gradually formed an all-women battalion that became known as the Dahomey Amazons. The Amazon warriors were recruited and trained from their earliest childhood. Thanks to their training, they became more efficient warriors than men. During wars, they were ruthless and could behead their enemies. These gallant female warriors served as royal bodyguards to Hambe and the kings who came afterwards. King Gezu, who ruled over Dahomey from 1818 to 1858, officially integrated the Amazons into the army. During his reign, the legendary Shindon Hongbe, as depicted in the movie by General Nanisca, was the head of the Amazons. The Amazons would bring King Bezo prisoners and he would deliver those prisoners to a slave merchant from Brazil in exchange for guns, gunpowders, tobacco and alcohol. This enabled the Dahomey kingdom to strengthen in power. All in all, the Dahomey warriors were respected protectors of their kingdom and strategic leaders. Their drills and military parades were always performed to dancing, music and songs, and their weapons were sometimes used as choreographic props. As expressed in their song, their goal was to outshine men in every respect, and European travelers observed that they were better organized, swifter, and much braver than male soldiers. As such, the king would send them to war as opposed to their male counterparts, and the European soldiers would also hesitate to kill them as they were often young women. The women also enjoyed privileged relations with the king, swearing to celibacy and living in a royal palace, which only the king and his royals had access to. As a testament to their power, women servants rang the little bell to warn the people of the women soldiers' presence, and inhabitants were required to move aside, bow and avert their eyes. The Dahomey Women's Army only became defunct when the Dahomey Kingdom fell at the end of the 19th century. According to UNESCO, after 2 months of fighting and previously broken accords between the French and the Dahomey, the king of Dahomey at the time, Ihazim, took flight and set fire to most of the royal palaces, marking an end of the kingdom of Dahomey and its army of women in 1892. The Dahomey king was later arrested, deported to Matingo, then Algeria, where he died. Dahomey then became a French possession between German Togo and British Nigeria, until Benin declared independence in 1960. The Dahomey Amazons are today seen as a symbol of female emancipation, but they were largely forgotten until recently when the movie Black Panther highlighted their amazing powers in war. The descendants of the Amazons also still keep their traditions alive in present-day Benin. Report says the role of the current Queen Hembo and her Amazons is largely ceremonial, presiding over religious rituals that takes place at the temple near her home in Dahomey, the former capital of the Dahomey Kingdom, and now a city in southern Benin. Thank you, and you are watching The Decades. My name is Aegis, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to hit that notification button to get prompted anytime we upload a video. See you in my next video. Bye bye.